Okay, when you're ready.
What was the most pleasing aspect of that for you?
Probably recovering from our second quarter, getting back to basics and a bit of belief.
What happened in that second quarter?
Well, we tend to have a bad quarter. We have a bad quarter, and that's it's interesting that I didn't have to discuss it after the game. There's a few senior players discussing it after the game, so very aware of it within our club that things can get away from us, and we've really got to stop it. We haven't been able to. Collingwood last week kicked, I think, 6 first quarter goals and probably kicked 5 or something for the rest of the game. Hawthorn had, a good last quarter. I think Geelong would have had the second, the third last. Whatever it was, we haven't started well. We did today, and we didn't capitalise on the second quarter. So the players are very aware of it, and the good thing is that they were talking about that more than anything else after the game. So it wasn't about the result. It was about the process of arresting those quarters. And the thing is, you've got to grow from those. And if we've learnt something from today without me saying it, then it's good because it's growing within. And that's so fundamental to any good football side, to arrest periods of a game that gets away from you, or arrest areas that are constantly a thorn in the shoe, so to speak.
Kicked your highest score of the season by a fair way. You're pleased with how the forward line came together?
Well, if you kick 20-odd goals and only 7 points, you're going okay. I've never really thought too much about that. It's more about our manner of defending the ball and making sure that we in the process know that good defence probably gives you the ball back anyway, and the score lines look after themselves if you defend well enough. And that's the last thing that we really spoke about was the number of goals. It was more about being competitive and little cameo jobs. Well, certainly during the week, and most of those things, as I've said to players in the past, you almost have a reluctance to put a team up on the board because before the game's even started, you don't know their bench, and they've changed it around, so therefore that's the first thing. Second thing is, within the space of 3 minutes, you've probably rotated 2 or 3 of your players. Certainly by 6 minutes, you've rotated. So nothing is really constant. So, it's the manner of how you approach the game and your little cameos within. Gibbs went to Armitage, did a great job. Curnow, when we lost Carazzo, Curnow swapped over. Everett took over. White was good, then White went back. Yaron's the same. So those little cameos are so important, and they're not, and to make sure they're not isolated.
Is it getting harder now for Jared Waite to get back in the side? Are you pleased with how your big forwards are coming along?
Oh, every game's a new week for us. We don't have the luxury of saying that 20 is going to be the 20 for next week. So we weigh it up on its merits and weigh up on the opposition. I even with the best sides I've coached, I've never looked back and thought, no, let them worry about us. It's us worry about them. No, I'm not going to change from that habit. So Jared plays well and earns his spot. He's a class player. Same with Garlett. Then they all come into the side.
Each of those boys has ended up with 4, though. They really seem to gel today.
Yeah. I'm not disputing the fact that they've played well, and fortunately they did play well. But there's always provision for flexibility within the team, particularly when you go from here to the SCG, different size ground, probably different surface, out in the open. Who knows? Sydney's weather. It doesn't rain in Melbourne; it rains in Sydney.
The march inside 50, was that a sort of a big difference in the game between the first and second half? Do you reckon?
I couldn't even tell you the figures.
I think there was 8-3 or something difference in the second half. It was pretty even up to half time, but everyone seemed to grab hold of them in the second.
I think it's not so much looking at numbers; it's looking at, because you don't look at numbers through the game. I'd be very happy for this to be thrown out and you get him on Monday morning. I think the pure coaching is to coach on instinct and what you see. And what I saw was without looking at those numbers and without you quoting those numbers, I thought we were able to gets a relatively good defensive mechanism in place at the right time to limit the ease of goals going, or ease of or kicks going into mark, where I'd say you look at Collingwood last week, they probably got 2 or 3 that we just didn't defend well enough, and they're the sort of things that we have to get better at. Rewalt's such a target. Stanley's jumped out of the blocks. He's now better now than what he was a few weeks ago, and he's caused some damage from outside 50, as we saw with his kicking. So it's important that you keep those that relevance to how the game looks more so than on numbers.
Is Levi one of the most improved players for you this year?
Yep. Oh, there's no doubt about that. He's in a position now that he's starting to believe in his kicking and his marking. He's got great energy, so he can jump at the centre. And I just think that it's big blokes just tend to we cast them aside pretty early, and it's the nature of the the draft. You can't be waiting forever, and if you've got the patience and you think there's a flicker there, you've got to stick with it, and you've got to go through a bit of pain. And I'd say the club's been through a bit of pain with Levi in regard to his inconsistencies. This year he's had less of them, and he's had a bigger impact when he's played. So you're spot on. He would be as close to anyone that's had a major improvement from last year. And it's good for him because he works hard. It's just not a wake up in the morning and find out, oh, I can play. This is hard work.
Just on Menzel and Carrazzo, how are they?
Well, Carrazzo's got a tight quaddie, which we weren't prepared to keep risking. And Menzel has got a stinger, which got a bit sore, and we're pretty confident that both players will be in the mix for next week at this stage.
Last one.
Thank you.